Hey everyone, welcome back to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. This week on the podcast, I've got doom metal act Absorb all the way from Hamilton, Canada. We had a great chat, but before that, I'd like to play a track from a band that are releasing an album in October. The band, if you've read the show notes, is Opeth. They've got a new single out, which is a symbol, I'm not sure how exactly to pronounce, followed by the number 1. They announced their album The Last Will and Testament. The press release says that the album is a concept one set in the post-World War I era, unfolding the story of a wealthy conservative patriarch whose last will and testament reveals shocking family secrets. Here's the first single from it, like I mentioned earlier, Symbol, followed by 1. and that was the radio edit of the first single of Opeth's upcoming album, The Last Will and Testament. A lot of buzz about it because that's the first time we've heard harsh vocals on an Opeth album in God knows how long. The band's 14th album, The Last Will and Testament, will be released on the 11th of October via Raining Phoenix Music. Link in the show notes on how to pre-order. Now on to my episode with Absorb. They released their EP Smog via Hyperthrill Records out of Canada. Here's my chat with the band. It's one of the few times where I've joined by a majority of the band, and I've got 3/5 of Absorb here. So I guess let's do this in alphabetic order since it's audio. Let's go alphabetic order, introducing yourself, guys.
All right, my name is David. I am a Grand Overlord for the Aldmeri Dominion. I also play guitar for a band called Absorb, based in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
My name's Eric. I'm a professional golfer, and I do vocals in Absorb.
I'm Jeff. I just play guitar. That's about it. I got no special qualities to me.
Well, you're also, I think, if I can make out, and those on audio can't make out, but I think you're in your home gym. So like David said earlier, you're getting jacked, I guess.
Got that right, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's developing his own muscle milk.
I milk rats.
Very high protein, very potent stuff.
Okay. And the occasion why I have all of you here is you all released your EP Smog a week ago. And let's just go around the room again. What's your response? Are you happy with how the EPs turned out and the response and reviews to it?
Yeah, it turned out really well. It was very interesting trying to capture the live sound and put it onto record. But I think we did a really good job capturing that. It's great just bashing in skulls out in the fields of Cyrodiil, blasting Smog, capturing the keeps, getting some alliance points. It's pretty good vibe, pretty good jam.
Yeah. Like from a recording perspective, I think we did a similar thing with Rot, but with Smog, when we did pre-production, we all jammed in the same room at the same time to lay like the click tracks and stuff, and scratch guitar tracks and stuff. So I think that kind of assisted with kind of the live feel of the tempo shifts and just kind of the pushes and pulls that Barth, our drummer,
and if you listen,
how he performs.
If you listen very carefully, we all had COVID when we did that.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty true.
Yeah, it is true.
But yeah, we were basically just looking to create something extremely evil, but as well as keeping our super heavy tones and super slow chugging. And I feel like we really accomplished that with this release.
Okay, and I was going to ask you this later, but since you've kind of dated it by saying you all had COVID, which year was this that you all ended up recording this album?
I think it was just a couple months ago. Felt like last summer we did it.
It was like I think we went into the studio to do pre-pro around October of last year, if I remember correctly.
Okay. And so one of the things that really struck me and why I kind of reached out to speak to you is, even though you'll have been a band for over 10 years, when I looked up, I couldn't find much information about you. So at some point, I definitely want to dive into like the history of the band. But also I want to quickly talk about the sound of Smog itself, right? Because one of the tough things about doom metal is capturing that live sound. So just to kind of clarify and get that correct, y'all actually recorded this all in one room while recording together?
No, it's just the pre-production, like basically when you like set up to record the record, you kind of have to make some choices as to like what the drummer's going to record to,
Got
meaning
it.
like guitar scratch and stuff, because everything still is to a click and whatnot. But there's like in each of our typically actually in each of our songs there is some type of tempo shift, like whether it's up 5 BPM, 10 BPM, whatever. And so in order to capture that properly, what we did was instead of just having like the clicks already built out, and then one of the guitar players like building the scratch tracks, we just did it kind of all in one like big session. Just got all three songs structured from the get-go, and we would stop if we felt that something wasn't fast enough or too fast or whatever. So it was kind of a different little process, but it was fun. I think it kind of translated to feeling pretty much exactly how we play it live, which now is paying us back, because anybody that hears these songs online and goes to see us live, like that's pretty much what you're gonna get, like, you know.
Okay, and was this like a different process to compare to what you'll have done in the past? Jeff, David, you want to chime in?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. So go ahead, Dave.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say. Typically, we have a little studio set up at a rehearsal area, and as we're writing, we're also starting off with scratch tracks, just coming up with proof of concepts for any of the new arrangements that we are putting together. Um, Rot was similar in the recording process. We all came together and laid the foundation with the scratch tracks in the actual studio, and then used those as kind of a template for our drummer to lay down the backbone for the record.
With Smog, it was more of just like when we got into the studio, we had the feeling of the entire album, as opposed to Rot, where it was kind of more laid out, I guess you can say. So when we did the scratch tracks in the studio, we were able to capture that like emotion and that essence of like evil chaoticness.
Okay, and one of the things that I always ask bands, and I'm very curious about, and especially with a record like y'all have released, which is Smog, what came first? Did the music come first, or the lyrics and the concept? How do you kind of go about that? Whoever wants to take it.
Yeah, I'd say majority of the time the music, like Jeff and I will just throw riffs kind of back at each other and back and forth, and kind of come up with where a song or a record or whatever concept we're thinking of is trying to go, and then we just present that to the rest of the guys. We allow space for things to be changed, like drum parts or even a structure of a song, to accommodate the vocals and things like that. But we're just coming up with concepts and then just kind of throwing them out there to the rest of the guys to see how everything flows, and then we'll take a step back and reassess it. And if we're all happy with it, then we push forward with playing it live and then recording it.
Yeah, and then from like a building standpoint, I'm very like rhythmic mind first, so I typically take my time writing lyrics out, and I like things to kind of make sense and be kind of like thoughtful or insightful. So I typically like I'll wait till a song is at least like, let's say, 95% structured, and then I'll really start like actually laying down my words. But up until then, I'm kind of just ad-libbing and picking my spots for where my vocal lines will sit, like rhythmic wise. And that's just kind of been the process so far, and I think that'll probably be the process going forward for the rest of time, because it's just more efficient that way. And that way I don't have to come up with some line that I really like and then cut it all up word wise. And that's how you can have things like not really make sense because you're dropping words to cut a syllable or something like.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. David, Jeff, whoever wants to take this one, at which point did you all kind of realize, or which song was it where you realized that this is the sound or this is the kind of ambience that you'll, the atmosphere that you'll have built for Smog? This is going to replicate for the rest of it, and these are the kind of songs. Was there one song or certain riffs in a certain song that you all realized this was the sound for this release?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first song that we wrote was Dissociated, and just when we got that sound with like the ghosty, eerie intro, we're like, this is how the way we want to like continue the album. And you can definitely hear it through the other two songs as well. Just wanted to capture like kind of like phantomy, ghosty, real dissonant, and it worked out.
David, do you agree? Is
Yeah,
that
I would say,
that...
I do rhythms, and so I can speak to that side. And the one riff from Dissociated, kind of like right before the bridge, where it just like it just slaps. It's got like a sludgy kind of sound to it. I really enjoy playing that riff, and the Smog riff is what I call in the actual song Smog. That's the riff after the bridge. That riff is really good as well too. Jeff does like that atmospheric tremolo style of lead on top of both of those riffs, and I love that stuff, and I kind of write with that stuff in mind. So
Awesome. So I think at this point we've talked quite a bit about Smog. Let's play Dissociated. Do I get a thumbs up from all of you?
thumbs up. Let's go.
Sure.
Okay, so here's Dissociated of Smog. And that was Dissociated by Absorb of their latest EP, Smog. And I've got Jeff and Eric from the band here. One of the things I was also curious, and maybe Jeff, you can take this, is I was reading one of the articles that you all had kind of done an interview with, and you all said that this is the second release that you all have done with the current lineup. How has that kind of helped shape the sound of what we hear on Smog, and how different was the entire process now that you'll had like a lineup which is for two releases the same?
Well, definitely everything changed once Eric got in the band. It was like the last missing piece. So we went through so many different vocalists, and like it worked out for a little bit, but it wasn't the exact sound we were looking for. And when Eric came in, when we were recording Rot, it was a perfect fit. We already had those songs kind of written already. So when we had Smog ready, or when we were writing Smog, it was Eric's first time like really being able to influence the songs as well. So it added so much different dynamic towards the overall finished product.
And what about you, Eric? I mean, like, was this a band that you like Absorb was someone that you followed from the scene and then kind of became part of the lineup? How was that journey for you?
Yeah, so I the previous person that they had recorded with, Steve Haynes, out of Hamilton, I think it's Poseidon Studios or something like that. Anyways, he had recorded a band that I'm still a part of, but we're a little bit inactive. But I play drums in a band called Zero Fire, and he had recorded us, and then I think he had recorded Absorb in a similar time frame. So I remember I was setting up drums for a show that I was playing with Zero Fire, and then he was playing some Absorb tracks over the PA while we were setting up for the show. And I was like, "Oh, this sounds really cool! Like really cool. Like I could tell it was like 7 string guitars, and I love that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. And then I had never seen them. I had never seen them live just because I don't know, just happenstance, whatever. But then their previous vocalist before myself, Wally Warwick, I used to do. I had a stretch of time where I was trying to do stand up comedy for a while, and he would run open mics, and so that was kind of how I connected with him. So I always knew that they like existed, and I knew that they had a cool sound. But then I ended up meeting them at a show in I think it was December 2020, and yeah, so that's kind of where I met them, and then I saw online that they were looking for a vocalist, and then here we are, pretty much.
Yeah, and to kind of touch upon what I mentioned at the start, right, Jeff, while you'll have been a band for over 10 years, you'll have released a few releases sporadically over a few years. How's that kind of journey been, I'd say, over the last 10, 11 years as a band for you all?
Well, really, we just kind of started Absorb out as like a hobby. You know, our drummer Barth, he just had kids recently when he joined the band. So he never really had the time, and we all have full-time jobs. We never really expected this to go anywhere. It was just something to do. And then momentum started picking up. And really with Eric, the addition of Eric, like it lit a fire under our asses. And the momentum has just been like crazy. And it's the hard work's been paying off. So
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed on your social media is you'll have been playing quite a few shows live. What's the response been to the Smog material live? Because, like you'll mentioned, this is something that you'll kind of worked on from the start, right? Together.
yeah, people seem to be digging
Yeah,
it. So
yeah. When we've been playing these tracks, especially like yeah, Dissociated was the first one that we were playing live off of this record. We've probably been playing that for like a year and a half, and like adding Smog and Cecilia in, like people have routinely come up and been like, these new tracks are your best stuff so far, for sure. So it's nice to get that kind of feedback, because it kind of reinforces that what we already know, that we're kind of working on our best stuff at the moment, and like there's still so much more to come, but it's nice to hear that, especially from people that we really appreciate and respect in our local scene. Like I remember like Charles from Loversteeth, their drummer, he was saying that like these songs, they sound great, and he thinks that they're the best ones that we have up yet. So again, it's just really nice to hear, and just reinforces our standpoint on where we are.
Yeah, and one of the things I particularly enjoyed about Smog was that entire journey that you talked about, right? I mean, as someone who enjoys Doom very selectively, uh, the entire bit that kind of hooks you in with the atmosphere, and then the entire journey that it takes you over the three songs, it doesn't really feel like, you're listening to three individual songs. It's an entire kind of journey that you go through. So like, I really want to appreciate you guys on kind of creating that uh bit. uh do you all have any more shows or possibly a tour planned coming up anytime soon?
I think we have a handful of shows coming up, but for now, our little summer run is down. I just had a baby, so I'm going to
Congratulations.
be relaxing for a little bit. I think we're taking August off. We are in the middle of writing for the next album. It's going to be a full length, and we're not opposed. We're possibly planning some sort of tiny little tour in the not so distant future. But for now, it's just dialing in these new tracks and setting up studio time, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, I actually read in a previous interview that you did that you'll have already started writing for your next record. What can you tell us about it so far?
Oh yeah. Literally going to meet up with Dave later. We're gonna hammer out a couple of the demos, and basically it's just guitars and bass done right now. We haven't really got together as a full band and put them together, but looking at like 8, 9 songs now already written, and we just gotta get together and dial them in.
Wow. So it's really going to be a lengthy one if you're looking at the song lengths of Smog itself, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're going for the full length this time.
I at the same time, I think that these tracks that Jeff and Dave are working on putting together, they're a little more concise. Like for Smog, it's 3 songs, it's 25 minutes or whatever. But Jeff and Dave currently have about 8 or 9 ideas, and that's 40 minutes. So they're a little more concise, and they kind of move a little faster. Um,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
definitely.
I think I can
Yeah,
say
definitely. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a little more aggressive, a little more punchier, while still keeping the extreme doom heavy sludge that is absorbed. So it's just progression within the band, growing up as a band, and this is probably the best work that I've done for sure. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and keeping it interesting for ourselves, right? Like trying different stuff, not just doing the same old thing over and over again. Like trying to see what we can come up with as a collective.
So all those who enjoyed Smog, definitely stay tuned and kind of keep following you guys on social media. Now, one of the segments I always enjoy doing with bands, and especially since you all are from Canada, uh, do you want to give shout outs, or actually, instead of that, is there any Canadian bands that you think people from around the world should hear? I mean, if there are bands from Hamilton you want to give a shout out to, feel free.
Oh yeah, big time. Our boys in Loversteeth, you got to check them out. They're just amazing and like greatest guys ever. They're so good at what they do, and definitely check them out. Loversteeth, incredible band.
Yeah. I see them I would assume that most, if not everybody in this project sees them as like a an inspiration in terms of how to work a band at this level, how to be professional. You know, they always have really good merch and a good setup, and they're always just on time, working their butts off, sounding as good as they can. They float around bass players, or they'll play with a bass track sometimes, but they always keep it moving. Like they never drop out of shows or anything like that. So it's just I find them to be like a local inspiration in terms of like, okay, you know, it's nice to see people with like similar work ethic, and it kind of helps you check yourself and teach yourself how to act, and come across as like y'all know what the fuck you're doing or whatever, you know.
Okay, I'm definitely adding them to my Spotify. Any other bands you guys want to talk about?
Well, you could check Kothra from they're from like the Niagara region, which is about 40 minutes from Hamilton. They're great. They're another very slow kind of sludge doom band, a little more like, maybe a little more like atmosphere. I don't know if atmospheric is the right word, but they're a little more slower pace, but very, very cool song structures, and like just amazing drumming. Their drummer Davis Maxwell, I've known him for many years, and he's got to be one of the best drummers in Canada. I would say, if not just like Southern Ontario, for sure, he's got to be one of the best. So he's an amazing drummer, and then also just one more that I want to shout out for sure is the guy who recorded guitars on this album, Andy Dimitrician. He is in a band called Reality Denied, and they're like a punchy hardcore band in the local scene here, and they write some really cool stuff, like really janky hardcore, but not just your typical up and down. Like there's a ton of transitions and switches and just like dropping a riff after 10 seconds and moving on to something else. Like they're very interesting to listen to.
I got one more too.
That's
I got one more I want to give a shout out to Hopfix, Eric's other band that he plays drums in. They're amazing, incredible band. Not necessarily metal, but some of the best written music I've ever heard, bro. Incredible band.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I play drums in a band called Hopfix, and we're kind of like psychedelic, like psychedelic rock pop kind of stuff. But everybody I play with in that band is just on their A game. So I'm very blessed to be surrounded by, two groups of amazing musicians.
Awesome. So thanks so much for sharing that. I think I have at least a couple new bands to check out, and so do the listeners. But before we sign off, any final words for everyone who's tuned in today?
Basically, just want to tell you guys, if you're digging the Absorb sound right now, just keep your ears peeled, because this next record's going to knock your socks off.
Yeah. And if you took the time to check it out, thank you very much. Like, there's the reality is like us being like a doom band, or it doesn't matter what kind of band we are. Like, we're a drop we're one drop in the ocean, right? So any type of support you throw our way, whether it's a listen or a share on Instagram or Facebook, or anything like that, like it helps us. It means like the world to us, and we really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeff, Eric, for taking time out, and we'll definitely keep an eye out for all your future endeavors.
Sounds great. Thanks for having us on, buddy.
Thanks, Peter.
And that was Absorb from Hamilton, Canada. Really enjoyed speaking to them, and I really like how they gave shout outs to a lot of bands from their region. I checked out Loversteeth, I checked out their recommendation Loversteeth and noticed that they've got a new single out, Embedded, which features Dylan McDonald. Here it is. And that was Loversteeth with Embedded featuring Dylan McDonald. Do check them out, and the other recommendations that the boys from Absorb had. But that's the end of this episode. Before I sign off, as always, if you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe on the platform that you're listening to, and to know when the next episode's out, follow me on social media. I'm Trendcrusher on all social media platforms. Lots more metal coming up in the coming weeks. See you all very soon. Cheers.